Listen right here, y'all. Yeah! Give it up for the Urge. These guys fucking rock.
Welcome to 311 Odyssey. I'm one of your hosts, Jay Two-Tone. And of course, you guys know Ark and B-Love. And today we have a St. Louis legend and entrepreneur. If you're from St. Louis, you probably heard of him in some way, shape, or form. Our audience probably recognizes him more from The Urge. And we're very happy to have you on today, Steve. Thanks for coming, man.
Woo!
Woo! Steve Ewing.
Welcome to
Let's
the
go.
Odyssey, man.
Yeah.
So let's get started with talking about your musical background leading up to The Urge.
Musical background before the Urge.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in high school, I sang in the choir. I sang in choir at church, and even before high school, we had like little school like choral events and things like that. I would jump into, and mostly because somebody would be like, "Oh, you can sing. You should just come sing with us." And that's kind of how it was with high school too. I did like a little audition in junior high, kind of just to kind of get out of class kind of thing. And the music teacher was like, "Oh, you got a really good voice. You should try out for the high school choir next year." And so I did, and I really, really enjoyed it. And then, in high school, I was a big athlete. Sports was my thing. So I played baseball and I was a wrestler. So sports was my thing in high school. But then music was starting to kind of catch on. I was like big into records and all that, whatever. But actually considering doing music for a living was not on my mind at the time.
What kind of records are we talking about? Who is the influences?
Oh man. So early on I was influenced by the stuff that my parents had. My mom had lots of funk records, a lot of James Brown, Sly and the Family Stone, Earth, Wind and Fire. And I was like, Earth, Wind and Fire was like my jam. I was way into Earth, Wind and Fire. And then of course, like from that, I got into Prince because he was like a rock star to me. He was a rock star, but he was like the first rock star to me. So I was into Prince. And then I would have to say, like in my high school years, I started reaching out and listening to some other things. And the Police was like my gateway into so much other music that was coming out of England at the time. So, and that was like in the early 80s when that whole post-punk thing was like huge. So we were seeing a ton of bands coming out of England, like the Police, of course, the Clash. We had like all the like two-tone ska, all that stuff, the Specials, English Beat, The Cure.
Mm-hmm.
So you had all this cool stuff coming out post-punk in the 80s. And I was 12, 13, 14, so it was awesome.
Nice.
And then you get the guys together for The Urge.
Mm-hmm.
And when did 311 first come on your radar? Did you hear him somewhere first, or did you play live with them first?
So we were out touring, and we put put Receiving a Gift of Flavor out independently. I think it was like 93. And so we were on the road for a while with that. And we were hearing about them just through other bands. And then we had some CDs and we were playing them in the van. And it was kind of in a rotation of stuff that we listened to in the van. And we were doing a lot in Atlanta at the time. So we were going down to Atlanta like 2 or 3 times a year. And so there's a radio station down there, which really was like into us. And they put on this big radio festival, and Helmet was the headliner. And so it was Helmet headlining. 311 was on the main stage. They were first up. And then we were like midday on the side stage.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'd heard of each other and we saw each other play. And then afterwards, like, man, you guys are fucking great. And like, no, you're fucking great. No, you guys are fucking great. No. it's kind of one of them things where we just were mutually like really just vibing with each other. And so then of course we having some drinks and um, some time passed. You know, we were talking about maybe getting together and doing some stuff again. With some time passed, we ended up playing another show with them, I believe. And then that's when we're like, man, we got to get on tour together. And then shortly after that, they called us, and then we went out and done with them, and we had a blast. Man, had such a blast, and it was southeast area. And then they came through, did some shows with us here in the Midwest, and then man, everything really clicked at that point because we had a pretty good following here, a really big following here in the Midwest. So, and of course they did too. They're from Omaha, so it just clicked.
Yeah.
Right.
And all of their crowd, our crowd, it was just all working together, and we're all the same age. You know, we all kind of have the same kind of like background. So like, man, this is working really nice. So we stayed on the road for a long time. As you know, B, we were out for a long time.
Yeah.
You guys were the staple for those when I was following 311, dude. If you guys weren't there, it wasn't the same show.
Yeah, man. So it was and the cool thing about it was we all elevated each other's shows, and musically we all started rubbing off on each other too. So, you know, we started doing stuff that kind of had a little bit of 311 feel to it. You started to hear a little Urge feel in their music, and then our live shows just kept elevating, kept just like this. So if you saw the show, if you saw both bands, man, you got your money's worth because it was gonna be fire. That's the truth, man. So
Oh, yeah.
that was cool because then we joined up with the same agency. They're like, man, you should come on and join the agency with us, and that was a good thing because then we ended up hooking up with other bands that were at the agency, like gosh, Fishbone was there later on, and then there was Funk Junkies were on there, and Shooty's Groove I think was on there. So we just had like this group of bands that we all of a sudden were just going out on the road together, and so that was nice. We had this whole like little, almost like rolling carnival show, like with us. Like I said, people got a great show. They got their money's worth, and it was great to elevate each other's careers at that time. It was nice.
I want to take it back really quick because the Urge has such a unique sound, right? It's like 311. There's a bunch of different influences. And I know you mentioned, all those 80s bands, but definitely go into the evolution of creating the sound of the Urge and how that all came about.
So when we first started, I joined the band. It was 1987, and I was still in high school as a junior. When we first started, the band really sounded like a mix between like U2 and REM. That's like kind of the stuff we were into that, and of course a little bit of that Police feel to it. But when I joined the band, at the time I was really into the Police, and I was really into what was happening in two tone. So like the Specials, the Selector, English Beat. So we started doing more ska music at that point, and we really truthfully became a ska band, in like 87, 88, but a little bit of a punk feel to it. And we were like, well, we love this, but it'd be awesome to have some horns. You know what I mean? Like we started doing some shows with the Boss Tones and some of the other band, Bim Scalabim from Boston, and some bands that we were in, and they had horns, and we liked horns, and like, man, we need to get horns. So for a while, we had this cat named Jordan. He was just a single saxophone player.
Yeah.
And it kind of had that English beat feel to it, where you had ska band with one horn, and it was like super cool. It was like really cool. And then we put we put the feeler out for a couple other horn players, and we got Matt and Todd, and we auditioned both of those guys, and they joined the band. And then Todd had a music degree and composition degree, so he knew how to arrange. So when Todd got in the band, it was great because he was good at arranging the horn parts. So he had some good horn ideas. He was really good at putting those horn ideas into the songs. He did a really good job with that. So that the sound really kind of kept coming along. And then the two original members of the band, Jeff and Pat, were leaving almost at the same time, like just after the first couple of 311 runs. Those guys didn't realize they didn't really want to be on the road, and we wanted to be on the road, so they left and filled the gaps with John Pizzoni and Jerry Jost. Two bad motherfuckers, and both of them come from more of a rock background. So when they joined the band, the sound immediately got heavier. And John, our drummer, is just a heavy drummer, so the sound immediately got heavier. So it just evolved from the style of players that we got in the band. So it went from being like kind of more of like a punk, ska, fast, light kind of thing to like more heavier, with more of like almost like a reggae backbeat, with metal and influences too.
Bro, it makes for such an energetic show,
It
and
does.
I remember that run because I was going to 311 shows a lot during the mid 90s, and first seeing you guys and Funk Junkies and just going, these guys are insane. There's just so much energy. I mean, it was just so energetic. And dude, it's such an appreciation for the show that you guys have held down. And dude, I'll never forget those years, man.
It was fun. It was a good time. So glad. So had those times, man. It was such
Dude.
great.
Yeah.
What
Awesome.
are some of your favorite memories from those runs with 311? Just any
Well,
special moments that stuck out.
we had the ability to go out and drink and still get back on stage next day. So nice. Yeah,
There it is.
One instance early on, we had done a southern run with them, and then we all were in New Orleans, and we just had the time. We took over a couple bars and just ran the place. Got super drunk, and then the next day got back on stage again in Baton Rouge, and it was almost like it just nothing happened. So yeah, so it's man, yeah, them early runs were a party, big time. Yeah, I've seen this one. Yeah, that's awesome.
Talk about energy, right?
Yeah,
And someone pantsing Nick.
where was this at? I can't even remember where that. I remember like doing this, but I can't remember what's this then.
That is Edgefest in Omaha in 1995.
That was crazy. That was out in the middle of a field.
Yeah. And
I
that was
think that was insane. There was a lot of people out there for that one, man. It was nuts.
Thank you, Omaha! Yes, we're the Urge. Omaha, alligator, keep me come with me. You are watching the Trail Tune.
I was at that show. I was at that.
Was that the one that was at Axar Band out in that big old
Yes.
racetrack or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But everyone was there. Like the Violent Films were there, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones,
Yeah.
Funk Junkies, you guys, and then 311 headlines this thing, and then you guys all bum rush the stage.
Yeah.
And I was body surfing the whole time. I'm just like, I'm just gonna go up on top and stay up there.
We did that. There was a lot of times where we would just jump up on each other's shows, and it was encouraged. It was like it was part of the thing. It's like we were so tight, we were hanging out so much. It was like, man, let's just add to this. Let's have fun. Let's get up there and go crazy with it. It was super cool, man. I remember that show. It was nuts. That was back when the radio festivals were at the peak.
Right.
So all of us doing a ton of these radio festivals, and man, we'd see a lot of these bands at the same festival. So it was really cool because then you like, hey man, you running these bands, like, hey, what's up, whatever, kicking it and partying, and it was cool. It was awesome. I remember all that stuff.
Yeah, that's one of my earliest memories of just seeing you guys and the whole collective like family back then.
Yeah,
definitely that one.
Big
And that
time.
clip, of course, is the Urgent Funk Junkies jumping on stage there for Feel So Good. It's like the epitome of '90s music for a lot of us right there.
We were gonna ask you just that, like how that happens, but it just makes sense that brotherhood and camaraderie and you guys getting along on and off stage, that the energy would just pull you up there like, yo. So that's great. That's good stuff.
Yeah, that's how I go. Because if you watch, if I don't know how much footage you got, but if you watch, you can see most of the time you can see the other bands hanging out on the side of the stage, watching all the other bands, and so it's like there's this energy that you get when you do that. So if you watch the other band, you get energized, and the next band that goes up gets that energy, and the next band that goes up carries that energy forward. So it's awesome. So by the time you get to that last headliner, everybody's just amped up, and that crowd is nuts. And so it's just like, let's do this, let's go.
Yeah, man.
I wonder if it was even planned, like, or did it just happen?
No, that wasn't planned. That was just, like I said, we're all standing on the side of the stage during the show. We're all sitting over there, and so all you see is, if you see somebody look at you, that's kind of like,
Yep.
Oh, let's rock.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So,
I was gonna say, if I'm sitting there just ready to pop, rocking off, and somebody looks at me, and you have the ability to go out there and help out, yeah, I couldn't help myself either. No way. That's dope.
I tell you that the essay was all about getting people on stage too. Like, so like you'd be sitting over there and he'd be like, "Come on, man, come on." So yeah, it was.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
what a show.
Even at that show, like Nick jumped on stage with the Funk Junkies at that show during Me and Your Girl, and rock that with them. You know, it's just all karate.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
All love.
All love.
That's what happens. That's what you do. That's pretty much been that way with pretty much every like major long tour that we've been on. We end up co-jamming on stage like a lot. It just kind of is one of the things that happens.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, especially that last show of the tour. There's just no rules.
Yeah, them last shows of the tour are scary. You don't know what's gonna happen.
So you have another clip of Nick here you want to show, right, Jenny?
Yeah, I can pull that up.
Wrote down.
You know, Beautiful Disaster was the first song written for Transistor, but I was kind of having a block during the Blue album. I didn't know what I wanted to write, and then that was the first song that came out. And I had been listening to a ton of NoFX, and we toured a lot with the band The Urge. And The Urge always started their songs with like these dual or triple harmony horn leads.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what, we can do that with guitar.
Todd was really good at those horn arrangements, so that's kind of still one of our things that we do is we have those big horn lines at the beginning.
I never made that connection. I never made it. I don't know why.
Yeah. So that if you listen to like Receiving a Gift of Flavor and Master Styles, there's like the Urge formula. A lot of them have, for at least for those two records, a lot of them have those heavy with the horns. Like before the vocal starts, you get the horns. That's kind of what we did.
Nick said that same
Setting
thing
it
on
up.
stream before, talking about the Urge and some of their inspirations. So yeah, that's cool. He still remembers that now. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, man. So
It's just.
yeah, no, it is. So Steve, do you think your time on the road with the guys, is there anything that you took away, or do personally and maybe collectively as a band that changed you guys in some way post 311?
Yeah, big time. One thing I really admired about them was like work ethic. Super professionalism. We were kind of ragtag coming out of the box, and this was before we had a record deal, and we were invited to come on this tour, and it was a major tour. So that kind of taught us like, okay, punctuality, professionalism, all that kind of stuff.
Now, like, we are like in the height of the 311, the Urge. 311's getting radio play. You guys are working on Masters of Style, and I know there was this like inspiration, like you guys can do it too, because that skate culture, that like MTV style culture and the music you guys are playing, like it all fit. And you
Yeah,
guys bring in Nick for a song that gets played on the radio.
sure.
Talk
Yeah.
about that.
So we had a record pretty much in the can, almost done, and we had "Jump Right In," which is the song. We had "Jump Right In" pretty much done. I had written the verse, the bridge, and I've written a few choruses that I just didn't like, and so we kept submitting things to the label, and they're like, "Man, we're looking for a single," and we had a song called "Closer" that we were talking about using as a single. And I'm like, well, I got this song that we really like. We really want to just keep banging on it. So like, well, maybe we can get somebody else to sing on it. Maybe we can get Nick to sing on it. So we're in Reno, Nevada, and I'm like, well, let me just see. We're in Reno, Nevada. We're in Reno. Was in like Thacto or something like that, someplace pretty close by. So I sent him a recording, and you had to FedEx it back then.
There's no internet back then, for sure.
We sent a recording of what we had, and then he was like, "Man, I think I got something. I think I got something." So, and I didn't hear what he had. So we went and picked him up in Sacto, which was only like an hour.
Yeah.
Picked him up from the show. Brought him back to the studio. He and I worked over a couple things. I heard his part, and I'm like, okay, I think that's dope, dude. I think that's it. And then we tracked it in the morning. We tracked it in the morning, actually, before we took him back. And we laid that down. And me and John laid the backing vocals on it. And I'm like, man, I think this is the one. It became quite apparent after we had finished tracking his vocals that we had a single. And so when we pitched that back to the label, and like, okay, this is definitely the first single out of the box. Yes. And it was all good choices right there made, because the single hit, it hit top 10 on the alternative charts and MTV rotation, and it did really, really, really well. So it was nice.
Awesome.
How hard is that to get a radio song? I mean,
think about all of the pieces of the puzzle that need to be together to score a radio hit. It's just like, it's insane, man.
It's not easy. It's not easy.
Not easy. And people spend lots of money and lots of time trying to score singles, and it doesn't happen all the time.
Man. So all of a sudden you're on the radio on MTV. Like, tell me about when that really hit. When it really hit. Do you remember where you were?
Oh man, that's hard to put a pinpoint on it. I can tell you that when we went out with the Two Skinny Jays on the second leg of that tour, when that record came out. It was getting airplay, and at that point we were able to convince the label to ease up on some tour support so we can get a tour bus to go out. And that was the moment where I felt like, okay, this is all coming together. Like, okay, we're pushing to the next thing, So it was nice to show up on the road, in style, and it was just super nice, man. It was like the great. It was super cool.
Dude, I can't imagine what it would feel like, just hearing the story about coming up, being in the choir, finding yourself in this band, and all of a sudden you're on the radio. Like, what in the hell, dude? I would freak.
Yeah, so the record before that, Receiving the Gift of Flavor, we had two singles that did play at radio in certain regions. So like of course, they were playing really well, and that was how we got picked up by Sony. But we hadn't cracked into like the major market, and we had like a thing in MTV for a second, but we hadn't really cracked into the top stratosphere of radio. Like, in other words, we didn't have ads everywhere. And in this case, we weren't pulling teeth to get ads, man. And it was getting added everywhere across the country, and
That's
that
amazing.
that was amazing.
How cool, man.
Very cool.
What was the last tour you guys did with 311? And was there a break after that?
Oh gosh, so I think we did some dates with them. We put Too Much Stereo out in 2000. We did some spot dates with 311. We were in and out of tours. And we had a new agency at the time, so we were in and out of tours, and so we'd catch up with 311 for like a week, and then jump off that, jump on another one, and then kind of jump around on tour. So we didn't have any extended touring with the guys on that one, but I remember, it was like picking up where we left off. It's like we saw each other and like, dude, what's up? And I started hanging out and the conversation's going. It's just so yeah. So I remember on the Too Much Stereo tour we hooked up for a couple of short runs, and that was pretty crazy because, like I said, we had a new agency, so we were heading out with bands, other bands that we were really into, like Fishbone and stuff like that. Yeah. Tours with us, so yeah, it was dope.
So then this is about the time you go solo, right? You get your solo thing, side project,
Yep.
maybe.
Right after the Stereo tour was over, I think we toured for about 9 months to a year, something like that. Pretty much as soon as that was over, I started just kind of noodling around, writing some stuff. And the same engineer that engineered Too Much Stereo, so like, I need you to come in here and let's lay down some stuff. I know you have some solo stuff. Let's just lay it down. So we went in there and laid down some stuff in his place. It was super easy, super fast. And I'm like, okay, this is great. This is cool. So he kind of went around and was pitching it, actually, which I wasn't really intending to do. But he kind of went around. And, we had some other musicians that were living in LA from St. Louis. And I was living in LA at the time. And we had some other St. Louis cats that I just would run into, some other musicians. And they're like, man, we should go out and do a Steve Ewing run. We should do a Steve Ewing band tour. We should do some Steve Ewing shows. And so we started rehearsing and, started learning songs that I had recorded with Steve Griffin to play out live. And so we just started doing a handful of LA shows, and then kind of buzz started picking up a little bit there. And I put together a couple of tours, actually pretty good sized tours throughout the Midwest with Steve Ewing. Got back and then made some more Steve Ewing records, and then with that. So that was a good handful of years where we really dug into the Steve Ewing project.
That's cool. Like I remember getting the crew together, like me, Nick, SA, some other people, and coming to see you at the Key Club.
Yeah. Yep, we did some Key Club shows with gosh, I think we played with Coolio there on one show, and I think we did one MF Doom there, and like I don't know, we did some really cool Key Club shows. It was awesome.
Dude, you did a show with MF Doom?
Yeah, it was one of them. So we knew the guy who owned the Key Club, and so he just was in doing, and so whenever it was something there, he would plug me in. So yeah, fuck yeah, let's do this. So it was great because you able to jump in front of a full house as a relatively unknown, you know what I mean? So it was nice to kind of just be able to just jump in front of that without having to really do all that work. It was cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, we had Brian Ling on. Do you know who that is? Brian Ling?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Brian. We partied with Brian a lot.
Yeah, dude. We had him on, and we talked about the Key Club and going out to the owner's spot at the beach. I don't know if you ever went with us out there.
Never did that. We would always be at Brian's parties when Brian was throwing parties. At some place, we'd always be at his get-togethers.
With a little shout out.
That's funny. Yeah. Promoting clubs before he was even old enough to legally go inside of them.
So it was. It's like
That's funny.
he's like coming to hang out at the place. I'm like, I've never heard of it, but yes, I'm coming.
Oh man. All right, we're gonna make a big time jump here. The cruise.
Cruise was like, oh man, that first cruise we did was perfect. Timing was good. Like the band was together. We're doing our thing. We put some new music out, and so it was nice out back in front of that crowd again, and that crowd, I would say, there was a shitload of Urge fans on that boat, man. So it was just that crowd, like playing those old festival crowds, like 4 or 5 nights a week, like 4 or 5 nights on that cruise. So it was perfect, man. It was like going back in time and partying again as a young 20-something-year-old. So no, the cruise was insane. And then we did another cruise. We did the second one. We did the second one with them. And Fishbone was on that cruise.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's another band that that I've always been a big fan of, and they've been a big influence on the Urge. And so that just was like a dream come true, man.
Wow.
To be out with Fishbone. They had the original members back in the band, so it was just it was amazing. That was I think that might have been even cooler that second time we went out. And the way we do it is we have everybody in our family come with us. So we have our wives, our girlfriends, everybody comes with us. And so it's nice to just kind of share the whole experience that way.
Right.
So yeah, so it's just a big old Urge family party. It's cool.
Definitely.
Dude, I remember, so when they announced you guys were coming, I was like, the Urge is back together? And
Yeah.
I'm going, this is going to be interesting. So that first show, that from note number one, I was like, oh, these guys been rehearsing, dude. So on point. Like, you guys didn't skip a beat. I was like, I got thrown back to 1996, man. Instantly. You're jumping around on stage, all this energy. And then, like you said, there was so many Urge fans there. I was looking around and people were singing lyrics. And I'm like, damn. Wow.
Yeah.
Geez, right here.
I've been getting messages from quite a few people who were like, we bought tickets to the cruise because we're just guessing that you guys might be on the boat. And I still
Really?
like I'm like, are you going to be on the boat? I'm like, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna buy tickets just in case you are.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's
Yes,
gotta feel
it's
good.
like I said, our fan base has crossed together big time over the years, and I think it might even be still happening. You know what I mean? Like, especially with like Spotify, it points people in directions musically. So I think even that's still happening.
Yeah. Yeah, and if
It it definitely has. And I didn't realize it until that show on the cruise, because I just figured there would be like 10 or 15 people out there, but it was more like 50 or 60 people out there singing. And I was just like, wow, okay, this is wild. I mean, and I had no idea, dude. I had no idea.
Yes.
And if we take another time jump ahead and we talk about those fan base energies crossing, you guys played Chicago 2022 House of Blues.
Oh yeah.
With 311 and Funk Junkies, and that had to feel like a throwback to those early days. I know my boy Craig Nickent, he was there, and he was super excited to see you guys. So tell us how that came about and what it was like backstage reminiscing.
That was great. So that was kind of like almost like a fly date where we were all just kind of just coming in and jumping out. So we didn't have a whole lot of time to really interact on those two shows because they were also live streaming.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of production involved in it, but it was nice to catch up like before the show and just hang out for a bit, man. It was just nice, be in the dressing room and just kind of just shoot the shit. It was sweet, and those shows were just fucking off the chain, man. It was those House of Blues was a perfect venue. It's like, it's not crazy big. It's got that cool double tier, like balcony thing. So it's just got a cool look to it. And so I'm sure they chose it because they were live streaming, because they had a bunch of cameras everywhere, so it just had a cool look to it. So
Mm-hmm.
and playing venues like that, because we can really reach out and grab. I can grab people in the audience. I can look them right in the eye. I'm right there with them. So it was a perfect place for us. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
we were right on
And
the
I
I
was
rail.
on rail.
Yeah,
And I saw
me too.
I was gonna say, and that was the Blue and Transistor in Chicago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
So I'm like, that is the most brilliant marketing to put the Urge during that time period with those albums in their entirety. I'm like, that like is complete. That
Yep.
is perfect.
And in the Midwest,
In
so you sure.
Chicago.
In
Yeah.
Chicago,
Yeah,
right?
you pulled some Urge heads for sure there.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
That whole series
So-
of shows was awesome. That was a great couple of months. Yep.
So 311 does these album shows. Have you guys ever done anything like that?
We did. We did Receive Flavor in its entirety. The cool thing about it is we took the pageant in St. Louis, and then we recreated an old venue in St. Louis, Mississippi Nights. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
Mm-mm.
But we had a production company come in and completely recreate that vibe. So when you walked in there, it looked like you were at Mississippi Nights. We had the background,
No
the whole
way.
thing.
Man,
Did that. So that was amazing. We totally transported the crowd back in time. And then shortly after that, we rented a small theater in the place I grew up in Webster Grove. Rented a small theater, and we re-recorded the record live in front of an audience.
No way.
So, yes, we put an audience. We sold tickets for I don't know 150 people, and then we put them right there, and we set the studio up inside this theater, and we re-recorded the record live. So even if we did a take and it was that was pretty good, let's do another take, they were right there with us.
They were ready.
Record that. You can get that. You can find it on Spotify or whatever it is. It's out there. But it came out really nice. It looks really good.
Did the fans know that's what they were coming for ahead of time, or did they get there and just go, "Oh shit, we're"?
No,
Yeah.
They knew that. So
Yeah.
it was sold as
Cool.
as your a small amount of people who get to come
Bring that energy.
and watch and record this record live in the
Awesome.
studio.
Awesome.
But yeah, we brought the whole production crew and the whole thing, and it was cool. It was like it's like, man, I wish we could go back in time and make this record sound like this.
back then.
Remastered.
But it's like I'm glad that record was made the way it was when it was made, because
Right.
feeling the vibe couldn't be created. It just couldn't recreate that anymore. So yeah, it's
Right
cool.
time, right place.
Yeah. And that's the gift of flavor, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Even a gift of flavor. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I'm gonna listen to that.
And I can tell you,
Yeah.
these guys brought it at the Thanksgiving show last year because I was there at the pageant.
Oh, yeah.
That was crazy. Such a good
good.
time.
And I think we had Funky Butt Brass Band from St. Louis. We had them up with us too, and we did like a Peter Gabriel. We did Sledgehammer with those guys. Yeah, I think we did that, and we do the Thanksgiving show every year. We've been doing that for like 30 years.
Yeah.
And it's like a tradition for us. Yeah.
Yeah, and you ended with One Love. And that was
Yeah.
Oh,
just great. The whole audience was so into it. It was
that's
It was
cool.
good night.
I was about to.
chef's kiss.
Yeah, man.
So when do you guys get a chance to rehearse? And what's your rehearsal schedule look like?
These days we get together maybe a month out. Like we have a handful of shows or something we're about to do. Then we get together for about a month out, and then we start getting really serious about the set list and just tightening stuff up. And the way we do it is we just rehearse until it gets a little bit more physically easy, because the music part of it, we got because most of us are still playing regularly.
Right.
But it's like the physical part of it
Physicality.
has to come back to it. Just like it's rigorous, you know.
Gotta get, you gotta get in what they call game shape.
Yeah, no doubt. Very.
Yeah, man.
Takes a second to get back.
I've always been curious because, dude, every time I hear you guys play, it's just so tight, man. And I feel like you guys haven't stopped. It's that tight.
Yeah, we like I said, a lot of us still have our chops from just playing. You know, we have a bunch of other bands we play in, and we keep our chops that way.
Yeah.
And then all we gotta do is together and physically get in shape and do that. So that's kind of how we keep our chops. Yeah.
Awesome. Nice. We got another video?
Yeah.
This is an audio clip, but this was less than a year ago. And this is with Peanut here.
Yeah, St. Louis is one of our, other Midwestern homes, especially because of all the shows we played with The Urge and just how personal a band like The Urge loved St. Louis, and those shows back in the day, especially with them, threw down like crazy. And even our own shows, just I don't know, something about the working class towns, something about those brewing towns. It's a great show.
We mentioned The Urge earlier, and you took them out earlier in their career, and I've seen them 100 times, like most St. Louis guys of my age. Were they ever hard to follow, or did you ever take out bands where it was either hard to follow, or did it make you up your game when you had a band open for you that was so good?
Yeah, I mean, in The Urge's case, it was both. They certainly didn't make it. I mean, they that's the thing, is they made it easy because the crowd was so lubricated by the time we got on stage. It was just, we just came out and did our thing, and of course at that point we would be elevated as well as they, permeated stage and backstage and front of house and everything with that energy and that movement that they created. I mean, between them and the Funk Junkies from Phoenix, we've really learned a lot about it's going to be physical, right? It's an action, it's an action show. It's not a sit down and watch. It's not a stand around and watch either. It's a move and watch kind of situation, especially back then. And I never really saw it as a challenge because it was so friendly. It was always, I don't know, they were helping us and we were helping them. It was really a contagious, kind of perfect relationship. I mean, those were the best. That was the best warm up for me, is being crouched behind, some dark corner and watching their whole set and then just being fired up and going up on stage. And lots of times now I miss the beginning, the opening acts, because I'm doing like a warm up and making sure I don't, get all bent out of shape from moving around as a 49-year-old man. So those memories are really vivid and wonderful because of how much love they had on stage. I mean, even if they were doing like, drunk asshole or something like that, it was still like I don't know, it was still a good time. Even if they were going to be frustrated, and we do the same things. It's like I don't know. It's the way we choose to solve problems.
He used the word "got the crowd lubricated."
Well, yeah, he summed it up like perfectly. It's like you feed off that energy, and like it. We same thing when we would go out on the road. As the headliner, whoever was opening up, like you want somebody who's going to go out there and kick a lot of ass for two reasons. One, they're going to get the crowd ready, and for the second reason, they're going to get you hyped up. Mm-hmm. It's going to so it just elevates the whole show. So that's the whole thing, man. It's like, and we got a lot of our inspiration stage wise from, gosh, I mean, there was a whole crew of bands coming up. Chili Peppers, Fishbone. Even before that, you had, like Parliament Funkadelic, Sly and the Family Stone. If you watch those artists, man, they were moving, man. And a lot of those bands were big.
Yeah.
The shitload of motherfuckers moving around. So I always loved seeing bands that did that. You know, like where it was like you had a bunch of guys and they were all doing stuff, but it was motion up on stage. I love that.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Peanut, I had him text me a question for you. Are you ready?
Word.
What shoes were you wearing in the 90s that had you so bouncy?
That's hilarious. What shoes was I wearing that made me? That is hilarious. Probably
That's Peanut too.
was probably wearing some fresh Adidas. Probably I was wearing.
Well, I tell you, I gotta agree with him, man. You got a vertical jump on you that's pretty wild, dude.
That's pure adrenaline. I'm telling you, that is adrenaline.
So speaking of being active in the variety of side projects that you said you're, involved in, Steve Ewing Band, Duo, and Master Blaster, to keep your chops, like you said. What else are you up to these days personally? I know you have some business endeavors and things, hot dog stand, something along the line.
I own Steve's Hot Dogs. We have currently we have a location on South Grand, and we have a new one coming on a street called Del Mar. And then we're in all the sporting venues. So football, soccer, hockey, all those. So we do that. This is my 14th year in business with Steve's. So as soon as I moved back to St. Louis, shortly after that, we got into business and really push, and things are starting to take off now. It was pretty cool.
Cool.
Are you in the baseball stadium there?
That's the only place we're not. We're not in Carter Stadium.
Oh no.
But we're at Enterprise Center. We're at the Dome where the Battlehawks play, and then we're at the new MLS soccer stadium.
Cool.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I saw the a clip. Someone sent it to me. It's like at the Blues game, the organist is playing the Urge. I was like, what? Yeah. And sent me a clip, and he's jumped right in.
Yeah.
So Jeremy, like that. So we also recorded the Blues goal song. So whenever you watch those and they score a goal, that's us, that song. And so they contracted us to come up with the goal song in 2019. And like every other team in the league has like a goal song from somebody that's local, from the city. So like we want one from the Urge, and so we came up with it. And
nice.
They won the Stanley Cup for the first time. So we might have had something to do with that.
Probably so, man. Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Take it.
Oh, great.
Just that energy train. Just let's go.
I used to go watch the Hatcher, well, not the Hatcher brothers, but like Mike Liute and some of the guys back in the day. Like Ozzie Smith was doing backflips. Those years. Yeah, that's when I was in St. Louis for a little while. So it's been a while.
All right,
well, man, I was in St. Louis in 2022. I wish I would have known, dude.
Yeah,
I was out of the loop.
Yeah, so if you go to a Blues game, every time they score, you'll hear the goal song. That's us, and we get so much love in the city, man. Like Jeremy plays organ for the Blues, and he also plays organ at the baseball games too.
Nice.
So you'll hear Urge songs on organ there, and then of course at the soccer stadium, like before the game starts, they play Getting Hectic. So we get a lot of love.
Yeah.
Nice.
Perfect.
That's great.
So this is just a random question. When they hear "Jump Right In" at the stadium, do people start singing it?
They do, and it's what's creepy, but what's fun. I'm at a lot of the games, or I'm there sometimes, and I'll be at the Steve's Hot Dog stand, and they'll play it, and then people will like. One of my favorite things. Like thank you. I'm like, yeah.
And do they know what the song's about, or do you think people just love the melody?
I think that like people from back in the day like probably know what the song's about, or they probably figured it out. Hear it, and they just groove in the melody and stuff. Yeah.
I think it's like such a great melody that you don't have to know what the song is about to appreciate it and
Yeah.
love it, you know?
Good little tune. It's got a good melody and got a good groove to it.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's fun. It's fun.
Yep.
Just a fun song. I love it.
All right, so I'll ask, if you were asked to do a track for a 311 tribute album,
Mm-hmm.
what song would you choose and why?
Oh, that's easy. I like Prisoner.
Ooh.
Yep. I don't know what it is or why. I just love that song. I love that guitar intro. Just kind of has that kind of Clash, Sandinista kind of feel to it, like, which I'm way into it. So, yeah, but I think Prisoner is awesome.
So I have a request when that happens. All those little SA bleeps and space sounds and all the junk that's going on in that song. I need that to be brass, little
Yeah.
brass bursts. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like,
Yes.
make it colorful for me. That'd be a great one.
And out of all your 311 experiences, all the times you saw him live, is there a moment that stands out, like a particular?
I would like to say we all kind of reached this like cool phase when we did Red Rocks for the first time, and it's something that I always wanted to do. I always wanted to play that venue, and we got to do it with 311, and I thought it was amazing. And then I felt proud of those guys because they worked so hard and they got to that point. And then the lights go down, it's dark, and the crowd's going nuts. I mean, I was really proud for them. It was a great moment. It was really cool.
Cool.
Yeah. I was at that one too.
Yeah.
That was a great one. Yeah. Because Nick would always talk about we wanted to play here and how they were traveling to LA and they stopped and sat on stage and said we were going to play here one day. And to have a dream like that and it comes true, like you felt it. It was palpable, you know. That's a staple for a 311 fan if you're at that show.
That's a staple for, I think, most bands to want to play there, and then of course the fans will come along and follow. But yeah. That's an epic place.
The place to be. It's like it's a stage that a lot of people aspire to be on, and to be able to do it is a really cool thing.
For sure.
Is it the #1 spot in America to play? Is that it?
I don't know. I tell you, there's so many other amazing venues, that are kind of up there. It's just, for me, I saw U2 live at Red Rocks, which they played, which is a video U2 put out. And I didn't even know what Red Rocks was, right? I never knew what Red Rocks was until U2 live at Red Rocks. And it was raining, and it was unbelievable. I'm like, this is not a Rebel song. This is Sunday, Bloody Sunday. I'm like, I definitely wanted to play that. And as a kid, I have family in Denver, and as a kid, we had seen some shows out there. I saw Run DMC out there as a kid.
Oh wow!
Wow.
Kind of one of them things. It's like this is the place where I feel like where I really want to play at. So, a lot of other cool venues that we've played that are kind of those classic venues, but that's kind of like one of those places for sure.
It's in the upper echelon, that's for sure. Cool.
Run. Sweet. Well, thanks guys thanks for chatting. Thanks for doing this. It's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on the Odyssey with us, sharing your perspective and your time on the road with the guys.
Yeah.
We're all big believers that similar like you said about your album coming out at the right time in the right place. It's the same thing with the people, and so every artist that rubs shoulders with them along the way is just as responsible for their success as their own. So we appreciate you coming along and sharing your experience with us.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah, man.
Hell yeah.
Dude, what an honor, man. It's such an honor. Tell
Thanks.
Beth I said hi.
I sure will. Yep, she's just walking in right now. Yeah.
I have one request before we go.
311 Odyssey out. Ha ha!